Hi and welcome back. I'm Dr. Amy Johnson, creator of the Little School of Big Change, an online course and community that helps people find freedom from habits and anxiety without relying on willpower and discipline alone. In the first Little School of Big Change highlights video, you were introduced to the iceberg. It's a model for how we tend to go about change. We attack that visible little tip of the iceberg with all of our strategies, all of our behavioral fixes, all of our hard work and willpower, but we get exhausted. And even if we do find some change that way, it's very shallow. It doesn't go deep or last long enough. You also started to see, though, in the last highlights video, that there's something beneath the tip, the whole foundation of that iceberg. In today's short clip, you're going to see more about that foundation as it pertains to us human beings with habits and experiences and anxiety that we want to be free of. When we see more about who we really are at our foundation, at our core, we start to have a real sea change and everything shifts. Consider this ginormous, important, but also very simple question. Who are you? Now remember, everything we're sharing here in the Little School of Big Change is really universal. So when I say who are you, I don't mean who are you versus who is your roommate versus who I am. We're looking at what is true of all human beings. This is why we have people here in the school with so many different habits, a million different kinds of habits that feel and look on the surface of it like they're very, very different, like they might need a different conversation or different treatment. But as we've discussed, they really don't, because we're not concerned here with the specifics, with the surface level differences. We're looking deeper. We're looking at what all of these habits and issues have in common. And so here now we're looking at, what do all human beings have in common? Who are you? And we aren't who we think we are. So remember the iceberg. We have this huge iceberg, huge. 10% of it, only 10% is visible. And that 10% is gigantic. It's in your face, of course. That's exactly right where your eyes go, and that's where we focus, is on the visible part that we can see. Now, under the water, there's 90%. And we all know that's the foundation, right? That's what the whole thing is based on. Shift that foundation, the whole thing starts to crumble. But the problem is it's invisible, so we don't see it. And that's kind of how it is when we're looking at who we really are. So we human beings, who we are by default, before any programs and thoughts and conditioned stuff have been added, who we really, really are in our true essence, I think of it as kind of a space, a container in a sense, in which stuff happens, stuff shows up, stuff moves through. The stuff that moves through is our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. That tip of the iceberg stuff, right? So we think stuff, we feel stuff, we do stuff our entire lives all the time. And because that part of life is so visible to us and to other people, because we have eyes that point out and we live in this amazing physical world, we start to get really fixated on, obviously, and focus on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And we start to think that they are who we are. But we aren't that. Those are just our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. That's just the surface stuff that's moving through. That's like the difference of whether you're a smoker or a jealous person that's trying to get help from jealousy, whether you're a binge eater or a drinker or a gambler or a shopper or whatever your issue is. We're looking deeper than that. And in who we are and looking at this gigantic question of who we are as human beings, we're looking deeper as well. Not at what you think, not at what you've thought your entire life, not at who you think you are. These identities we've created, that's not who we are. These feelings, as habitual as they might be, as close to you. You can be having a feeling, a set of habitual feelings your entire life, and that still is not who you are. What we do, no matter how dramatic it is, how big it is, that's not who we are. That's all stuff that moves through who we are. Who we really are is the never-changing, peaceful, full of love, full of clarity, full of wisdom space beneath all of that moving stuff. I get it. You might not feel like peace, love, clarity, habit-freeness that is in there in all of us. I didn't either. No one does when we're caught up in a really painful experience. But the beauty in seeing this is that we can have experience move through us, but know that there's another place to look. We are not that experience. As we start to look deeper and get curious about who we all really are at the base of our iceberg, not just the visible part, but what we're made of, amazing things start to happen. It's not always easy to look away from that painful experience, of course. In the next highlights video, I'm going to say a little bit more about why that's sometimes so hard, but how you can start to look in a different place and have a brand new experience anyway. I'll see you in the next video.